Hello again, everybody. This is Mr. Everything coming at you with another Wargaming and miniature video. In this video, we're going to continue on with our Princeton project update. Now, what I'm doing here is we're going to be working on the actual battlefield terrain. I'm actually going to work on it on camera. I might edit out a bunch of junk, but that's what we're going to be doing. We're going to be working on this. But I'm also, towards the end of the video, stick around, I'm going to show you what I've updated, or how I've updated my miniatures with, we have gotten in my second order from Warlord Games. So I got my second box of Continentals and Militia, and I also got the Spears in. So when I got the Spears in, I was able to start reflagging some of the models. So what I did was I snipped off all the old lead flagpoles and started pin vise drilling to put the new flagpoles, the new flags and flagpoles in. That's an ongoing process right now, but I'll show you my progress. But let's start talking about the terrain. Okay, you guys remember I bought this giant green felt. This is actually probably 11 feet of felt, because you can see there's an extra foot over here and there's an extra foot at the end. Plus there's an extra 6 inches per side. So I've got like 6 feet wide by like 11 feet long. So we could do a 6 foot by 11 foot if I had a table that big, like maybe at a convention or something like that. But I'm designing this to work with my 9 by 5 ping pong. Alright, so I've got some paint fumes going on right now, and let's explain why. As you know, I bought a bunch of felt. I bought some dark brown for city sectors. I bought some light blue for the frozen rivers, and then I bought some tan or lighter brown for the roads. Now what I did was, on the blue, I took this Krylon Fusion Gloss Patriotic Blue and I sprayed diagonal lines across the felt. You can see the diagonal lines. Now what that has done is it stiffened up the felt because it's got paint embedded inside of it. So this is stiff. It becomes less fuzzy and more smooth. Okay, perfect. And over there on the sides, you can see that I've done the same with those right there. And now the reason why I did the diagonal cuts is so that when I take my scissors and I cut out the rivers that I'm going to be using, you'll have like an imperfection in the water. It'll be very like a two-tone river. So let's go ahead and set those off to the side. Those blues are drying right now, so I'm waiting for that to dry. Now I did the same thing with the roads. With the roads, I took this textured finish stone, but I made sure I got the right color. This is kind of a tan with black and white flakes inside of it. There we go. Like a tan with black and white flakes. And what I did was I sprayed, you can see them down there on the other end of the table, I sprayed all my tan felt and it turned out like that. And you can see how it's extra stiff, right? And this looks a lot more like what I wanted for my road. It's got like got a mixture of texture, right? It's almost like I made a road. Now I made it wide enough. I made it wide enough to be about 50 millimeters, or about the size of the way I base my cannons. I'm going to have my wagons. I'm going to have my cannons. That's a little bit wider than the infantry and the cavalry, but that's fine. And it tends to work out pretty good for the bridge. Okay, so with those pieces, I'll be able to cut them out and create more roads. This right here reached almost halfway across the table, right? Because each of these is about 11 inches or so. They're 8.5 by 11s. So that's 11 inches, and there's 4 of them. So that's almost 4 feet. It's only like 4 inches shy of 4 feet. And halfway across the table is 4.5 feet. And this adds some more inches. So one more of those sheets should get me all the way to Princeton. Maybe not. Maybe I'll need to make a little curve in the road. And then 3 of those should be able to get me my southern road. And I'll put a copy of the map, like maybe right over here, or maybe right here, so that you can see it as I'm building it. And I printed it on paper, and I made a little grid so it'll help me measure where everything goes. Now the reason why I'm going to do that, the reason why I'm laying it all out tonight, and I'm not going to lay everything out, but I'm going to lay mainly the roads and the rivers out tonight and place the buildings. And then I'm going to use a Sharpie, and I'm going to write directly on this felt some key points, like the 4 corners of the bridge, or where the building is, or maybe show where the rivers might turn, or something like that, so that, and just make little dots, just to give myself a visual cue. Alright, so now what I've done is I have taken the tape measure out, and I've located where all my buildings will be. So basically I used a cross-reference. I measured from the edges, measured to the edges, measured to the center of the buildings. You can see a couple of buildings at like T. Olden, and then right there where the center, I think that's the Clark Farm, that is directly in the center of the table. That is not just, it's not going to be 2 buildings. I'm going to consider that whole farm complex there to be that building, that whole brown section right there. So what I need to do is take my brown felt and cut out pieces for each of the town sectors, or the built-up areas, the buildings. And what I'd also have thought about doing is making the brown large enough so that a unit of infantry can deploy onto the inside of it. So let me grab Smallwood's brigade, and you can, or his regiment, and you can see I can deploy inside the brown felt. I could probably cut that down a little bit more to fit, to be closer to the building. And then if I was to, and then these fence lines I'm just going to set off to the side for a second. If I was to put the church like such, that's a large area. I could cut it down to be more flush, and then you could put guys in without having to move the building. Now, what I was thinking of doing, especially on the bigger buildings, is to not have overhang. So if people wanted to get into the building, they would have to move the building off of the felt to put their guys in the building. But I kind of don't want to do that, because I want the buildings, once I get them all painted and on the map, I want them to be able to look at them, to revel in their majesty. You know what I mean? Yeah, I think I'm going to trim that. Now on this one, they're not going to have to move the building, because I'm considering this porch area to be considered part of the building all the way out to this line here. The line along the side of the building, this square, this wheelhouse and this bridge and this little extra plank there, I'm considering that to be part of in the river. So if they wanted, they could deploy, so they would be able to have guys in the mill. The mill is this section here. If I wanted to, I could take a saw and cut all that off, but I'm not going to do that because it looks too good. Now I haven't uploaded this video yet, this construction video, and I haven't uploaded this construction video yet, but it's coming soon. I've already filmed it. See, I'm just putting a dot there so that I know the corner of the mill, the corner of the bridge goes there. I'm going to put a dot right there so that, I mean, you can't really see that. If I ever use it for another battle, no one will ever know, but I'll know to put the bridge from corner to corner right there. Okay, there, that building is squared away. This one doesn't need one because it won't need to be moved. Well, that won't need to be moved either. Okay, so I could actually fold up that felt and put it inside the building so it would be ready to go. But let's do this. Let's mark the 4 corners. There you go, so I know where it lays. So this building area is done. Let's work on the church. Yeah, I bought these at Hobby Lobby for 33 cents, and yesterday I saw them at Walmart for 25 cents. In this corner, and then extend out. So I'll put the building actually in the corner. This is all for aesthetics. This is for the way it'll look. And then I'll be able to put the guys around the edges like that. Perfect. Just like so. It's in a good spot actually, I do believe. My tape measure, here it is. There we go. Okay, let's mark the 4 corners of this felt. Okay, so now what I was talking about was these building tops come off. So I could take this guy, I could do something like that. Just to store it, just to save it. Alright. Get that out of the way. So now that's on the north side of the road. So that's what I don't want to do. I don't want to have the building overhang the road. But I do want troops. I could put guys on the ends, which would be the same as that farm, but I don't want it to be a farm. I just want it to be a building. So I think I'm going to do the same thing I did with this one, and put it in a way the building will go in the corner, and that way you can put troops in the building all around. There we go. That looks good. Yeah, that works. All right, and I'll mark these 4 corners. Okay. Okay. So this building, that building, that building, those are all marked. That building. Okay, that bridge is not marked. Let's go ahead and, that is exactly where it's going because I've already measured it. It's okay if it gets on there. Thin creek, very thin, going this way. And then there's a impassable one going this way, right over this corner here. Don't like it. So we're probably going to go 3 to 4 inches wide. Okay, now when I'm cutting this, I'm deliberately cutting it kind of not perfectly straight, because rivers aren't straight. See how I did that there? Now on the other side, what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of follow that same curve, and you don't really have to. You can make opposite curves or any curves really. There you go. And then from there I just tuck it under, whoops, line that back up. I just tuck it under the bridge. I don't have to connect it, because once I lay the bridge, that looks good. Looks, well, you can't see it from the camera angle, but I could use something like that. I don't know. I'll save that. Let's follow the curve on this side as well. Let's make sure I've got enough. Okay. Just like that. And it looks like it exits at 1, 2.5 feet. 1, 2.5 feet. 2.5 feet is right here. Okay. Okay. Something like that. It took me quite a bit of finagling to get that the way I wanted it. Alright, so now we take the marker and I'm going to mark the exact spots where the river turns. Meets the bridge. There, that'll be easy to put together. All right. Now that's an impassable river, and I'll be putting like lichen and stuff like that along the edge just to make the river look better. Plus I'm going to have this whole section here is going to be wooded. There's going to be woods here, and then there's going to be a little bit of woods on this side as well. So let's go ahead and make a 1, 2, 3-piece stream, and that 3-piece stream is only going to be about an inch wide. And again, I'm going to not do perfectly straight. I'm kind of zigzagging a little bit, making gentle curves and sharp curves. It doesn't matter. Okay, now on the end, I had it kind of narrowed down to a very small tip. And this will go right beside the road. Actually, it looks like only 2 pieces are necessary. Yeah. There you go. And you see how the paint gives it that multicolored look? That's awesome. I love the way it looks. And then when I lay the road down, you know, it'll be beside it. And then I'll put a little lichen or something down in there just to give it, just to disguise the fact that it's felt, you know. Okay, well that's awesome. So now I'm going to need to make the other string. Let's go ahead and throw the scraps away. It looks like it curves in and continues on. Looks like 1, 2, 3 feet worth of it. So I'll have this and this meet under the bridge. That needs to go just a little bit curvier, I guess. Okay, so I made a piece that was rounded. There can be a gap there because it's going to be, guess what, covered by the bridge. Nope. Okay, maybe not there. There. Perfect. I got a little extra stream area. I got a couple extra pages of streams that I'm not going to be using. I can use it for different battles, like Freeman's Farm when I do it. I'll have these available. Okay, so let's cut the edge off of this. Or if we play the full amount, I might need an extra 6 inches of string right there. All right, now what I've got to determine is, do I have enough fence line to cover what I need to be covering? Okay, so there's going to be let's use the white picket. There's going to be about a 3 to 4 inch grove behind not a grove, like an orchard or something right through there. Now, because I won't be able to remember exactly where these fences are going, I actually am going to take my phone out and I'm going to take a picture of that. And so the next time when I go to deploy it, I can just pull the picture up and say, oh yeah, this is where all those fences were. All right, so you got an idea of, I'm not going to be able to do anything with these until they dry. They're still sticky. All right, well, we're recording, so. All right, so here are all my militia that I am close to finishing. We've got, well, here, let's start here. We've got the 1st Pennsylvania Associators. Then we have the 2nd Pennsylvania Associators and the 3rd Pennsylvania Associators. I've got a Pennsylvania Rifle a Pennsylvania Continental rifle unit, and I've got the Pennsylvania Rifle Militia, and then I have a Chester County Militia, and I also have some Continental Marines right here. Now if you notice that I've got the putty down. The putty, yeah, if you notice, I've got putty down. The putty is on the Old Glory models to get rid of the little bump that they have on the bases. If you see black under the figure where there's no putty, that means it was a Warlord Games model. Didn't have a little base that it stood on. It's actually glued directly to the maneuver stand. So like that whole unit there was Old Glory, where all but the standard bearer was Warlord Games. All Old Glory, couple of figures from Warlord, kind of a 50-50 mix on that one, and then mostly Old Glory. Now I've got some British generals here that I've based up. They previously were painted and I had them on square bases, so now I just moved them over to the round bases. So that's all the British generals I'm going to need, and I have all 4 of them. And then here are all the generals for the Continentals. I have Washington. He's not currently painted. I painted his horse a million years ago, but I never painted him. So I'm just going to reprime everything black and repaint them. And I've got General Green there. Needs to be painted. And then I've got, I think that's 5 brigade commanders back there, which in this scenario they're really just colonels, but I think they're all given the rank of general in the battle, you know, so even though they didn't have the unit or the manpower to be really considered generals. But yeah, we've got all of them. And then over here I wanted to show, okay, these are 2 new Warlord Games flags on those spears that I received, right? So these are looking good. Now they need to be, the edges need to be trimmed up and painted, and I need to use a little bit of a dull coat on those flags. So these guys have not been completed yet, but it's close. And then same thing with these. This is I wanted to just show you the disparity, the difference in flag size from Warlord Games versus the Old Glory standard. See how tall that is? Yeah, so that's an Old Glory figure, and I printed that flag so I was able to resize it to make sure that it fit the standard. But then that is the size of a Warlord Games flag. That's why I needed the spears, because that flag would never have fit on that flagpole. Alright, so you can see we've made quite a bit of progress. I've got a lot of work done on the terrain. I'm ready to go. And let me go ahead and put these back over there because we're getting ready to flock them. I suspect I'll have them done in just a couple of days. And then I'll be back to working on either the Dragoons or the extra couple of cannons or the Continental Line infantry. Alright guys, thanks for coming out and watching this video. If you want to continue to get updates on my Princeton project, make sure you like and subscribe to the channel, and be sure to hit the notification icon so you know when I'm uploading new videos, and I'll see you in the next update.